Thank you, Paul. So before we begin, I really wanted to preface that we are very, very excited about this feature. We've been working on this for quite some time. And we've been talking about extended debugging for a while now, for I want to say half a year. But this is next level of something, finally we want to position ourselves as a very innovative company. And this is one of the ways we're trying to differentiate ourselves from everyone else on the market. So we really see ourselves as the company behind that enables CI/CD for other teams and services. And as part of that, we really want to make sure that we provide tools and services that not only help have effectively give teams opportunities to debug Selenium, but also positions them for success in CI/CD world specifically. So whenever we come up with a new feature or tool, we really want to make sure that it hits across one of these three categories. Number one is it helps with release with confidence, right? We really want to make sure that Sauce Labs is a surface that associated with stability, with quality, and teams really, really trust the information that comes out of our product. Number two, we really want to make sure that we help teams improve their release frequency. It's not enough that you run builds once in a while. We really want to make sure you test continuously and you really, really help each other or help your teams improve their velocity overall. And last thing is the speed of the release process. We know that we sell concurrency, but in general, we really want to make sure that the teams are able to release as frequently as possible, and are able to adapt to the market in as fast as possible as well. So as we started thinking about how can we help solve some of these problems for our customers, we realized that one of the core issues today is actually with Selenium itself. So if you look at the this workflow, every single time a test framework runs a test, it has to talk to a browser driver first, then to a browser, to the application then. So what that means is the application and framework are not connected in any way. There's a bunch of proxy services in between. And that causes a lot of frustration long term. It's not obvious immediately, but ultimately, it's very hard to debug discovered issues. Since every single time, on the framework level, your logs are only from the Chrome driver itself or from the framework itself. And as a result, you have no idea what was the state of the application when test failed or some issue occurred. Additionally, there is very, very inconsistent vendor support for the browser driver tools. Yes, Chrome is very advanced and has a lot of features, but other tools are not as advanced. And as a result, you do not have all the necessary tools to effectively debug cross-platform. So we saw this problem, and we launched extended debugging to solve part of it. What happens today, if you look at this workflow again, you will realize that extended debugging actually connects the application and the testing framework by providing you all the necessary data to debug the test. So what that means is you can effectively add extended debugging true as a direct capability to your test, and we will associate har file and JS console log with every test that is executed on Sauce Labs as long as it's run on Firefox and Chrome. And yes, Chrome for Android is also supported. So Chrome on desktop and mobile, and Firefox on desktop. har files give you access into things like what were the networking requests made up until that point in the test, as well as performance information, and possibly even point you into the root cause of the errors. I've been doing some demos earlier today, and to show exactly how this works, and happy to show you again if someone didn't get a chance to see it. JS console logs essentially provide a lot of metadata about the application itself and come directly from the browser. So if we start to look at the way extended debugging works, is instead of just putting a proxy service between ourselves and the application and adding additional layer of instability into the process, we decided to connect directly to Chrome driver. So this is the important aspect of our solution versus using browser proxy or other proxy tools, is that we do not have additional layer between the application. And what that means is we're connect directly to Chrome DevTools natively in parallel to Chrome driver, and are able to extract the same data from Chrome driver as if you were debugging on your local machine. So there is no difference, right? Additionally, it's a two-way connection. So not only can we effectively extract the data, we can send the commands to Chrome driver. So that means that we are able to control the Chrome and the application itself in a very similar way that the Chrome driver would do natively. Additionally, as we start digging into this, we realized that outside of kind of a capture of HAR files and JS console logs, Chrome DevTools or browser DevTools in general have a wide range of supported APIs. So today, many development teams at Google or at Firefox have been working for years on creating a wide range of very advanced APIs. For example, you have access to the entire application runtime, all advanced networking tools, DOM changes, performance stats, JavaScript profiling, and a ton of other things that are could be very important in the case of automated testing. Now, if you start thinking about what exactly if you start comparing what is supported in Chrome DevTools versus what is supported in Chrome DevTools APIs, or sorry, what's supported in Chrome driver versus Chrome DevTools, you realize the overlap is not as broad as you would hope, right? Even though there's a ton of features available in Chrome DevTools, they're not exposed in Chrome driver tools. And some of them are very minor, so like blocking the requests, but others can be very, very helpful in running and debugging your tests more effectively. And we'll go into this in a second. So what the core idea that we had is, what if we could bridge the gap between what is available in Chrome DevTools, right, and what is available to developers in an automated environment via Selenium, and see if that leads to additional opportunities around testing, around debugging, and just in terms of testing coverage that you can do. So today, we're going to be announcing 5 new commands on Sauce Labs, specifically 2 new custom commands and 3 new log types that will be accessible at any point in the test as long as extended debugging is enabled. So on the command side, we're exposing Sauce Intercept and Sauce Throttle. I'll go into them in a little bit. And 3 new log types: Sauce Network, Sauce Metrics, and Sauce Timing. Again, they're very specific and should definitely help you with debugging. And we'll go into examples as to how they can be used more effectively. So Sauce Throttle essentially exposes the built-in throttling tools that are part of Chrome already. I'm sure many of you have used the features that are on networking tab in Chrome today and changing the speeds. Now you can do that using a custom Sauce Labs command. One of the biggest reasons why it's useful is because if you have today an offline application, right, there is no proxy tool that would allow you to do it because that would break the Selenium connection. But using this command, since it's part of Chrome, you can technically finally start testing offline modes of your apps without breaking the Selenium connection. As a result, you can finally run this end-to-end functional testing on your offline parts of the application. Never been done before. Additionally, you can do things that are just very general. You can change networking conditions natively. And this we have several profiles that allow you to just set things like 3G speeds, 4G speeds, GPRS speeds, but also you can set your own speeds that you wish, or maybe you know a few cases or a few examples that you want to make sure you cover in your tests. So the way command would work is you would call a JavaScript driver execute script command with Sauce Throttle as a parameter, and you can specify the condition, the download speed, the upload speed, and the latency, right? So let's say if your application today has to be used across a wide variety of countries or wide variety of environments, you can easily test that in a single test. Yes, you can break it down into individual test cases, but finally you can do that today as part of any kind of testing without having to involve a ton of third-party tools and paying for them and trying to integrate them into Sauce Connect and your networking environments and to your applications. So there is no dependencies on anything. We're using tools that are already part of Chrome and have zero impact on your testing today. Now Christian will do a quick demo of an app that we prepared.
Yes, we prepared a small SauceCon app that is just a tiny to-do application where you can put in your to-dos that you want to do here at SauceCon. And we built in some gimmicks that makes the testing process of that application really, really hard. So we have, for instance, a third-party script here that will always take, in this case, will always take 5 seconds to load, and that will slow down the page load overall. And then imagine that you have to open that page for your test every time. It will always add 5 seconds to your testing time. which is really problematic. And as you can see as well, this page is offline ready, so it has a service worker implemented that allows us to just disable the network connection, reload the page, and it still works. So many companies out there, they build offline apps, and this is a crucial part of their offering that they allow customers to work on their application, on the train, or anywhere where the internet connection is not always stable. Another feature that we have here, if we add a to-do, for instance, get milk at SourceCon, and we enter it, then we make a request to an application, to a backend service, and that is not always stable in our case. And we also, which is not visible in here, we also do we also send a message to Google Analytics because we want to track the behavior of our users in our applications. Okay, so the first example that I want to show off is the network throttling example. And let me run the test for this. What this test is doing is it opens the page for the first time, and the browser is able to use the service worker to get all the files that it needs to be able to run offline. We then throttle the internet connection and say, we want the condition to be offline. We want to set the browser offline. There are other conditions available that we have predefined. One of them is regular 2G, normal 2G, regular 3G, Wi-Fi, which is, I think, the fastest one. But as Jaroslav mentioned before, you can specify any upload, download capabilities that you prefer. Then we reopen the page, and every time the browser is offline, in our service worker script, we add a label to the page that gives us information whether or not the application is on or offline. So we run the test on Sauce Labs. Okay, that's hard to see. So we open our page for the first time, and you see in the bottom you have like 3 paragraphs here, which show who built that to-do app. Then we run that JavaScript executor, and we have chosen to use the JavaScript execute function, or the execute WebDriver command, because it will allow you to use our custom commands in any framework that you are currently using. Even though there are WebDriver extensions, we don't need to go to the frameworks and be like, hey, could you implement our custom commands? These commands work right away in all frameworks already. So after we reload our page and we made our browser offline with the offline condition here, you see, if the image is loading, that we have here the offline version noted, which demonstrates that our application was offline at that time. And now we can even go further and now test several offline capabilities in our test, which, as Jaroslav mentioned, was never before, was not possible before. Okay.
Back to Devin. Thanks, Christian. Yeah. So as I mentioned, again, offline mode, not possible before, as well as additional throttling features that don't require you to install any additional tasks or additional plugins in between. Very useful for any developer who doesn't want to be bogged down by additional products or features that are outside of domain of expertise, or just no reason to add tooling that's already built into Chrome. So with that remark, we try to bridge, get closer to the full coverage. Next command is Sauce Intercept. So Sauce Intercept is a very, very interesting feature. What it allows you to do is you are able to set custom rules as to where specific requests should be routed and what should be the response of these requests. That is very useful in cases when you want to mock up parts of your REST API response. Let's say you know that a part of the REST API is very predictable, but it's very slow. You can easily mock that up in your test without having to create additional mockup service somewhere in the backend. Additionally, if you have a few flaky or like some things that are really slow, you can block them out altogether, right? So you can just say, for this specific request, kill it. That's very useful for cases when you have a bunch of additional third-party JS libraries that are just loading as part of the page that are very useful for marketing team, but not very useful for you or for your testing needs. You can easily just block them out altogether on the application and call it a day. Additionally, you can replace assets during the test. That's fairly useful, for example, if you have an application with multiple themes or multiple kind of JS files or multiple CSS files. You can automatically reload and replace them during the test without having to spin up additional VM or session. The command is very structured very similarly to what the other one is. So again, we just specify the URL. You can use things like wildcards to generalize a bunch of requests or a bunch of URLs. You just say where the page should be redirected to, what should be the response, and what should be the error code. We support all kinds of error codes, so you can definitely, kind of instead of 404, you can use something else. And now Christian will do another demo.
All right. I have 2 demos prepared for this one. I'm going to start things off with the pre-populate test. So usually, if we test our application, we need to have, at some point, the state of the application being in a certain state, meaning that we need to fill in some data to make some assertion on it. And that is actually a bad approach to do, because doing all the automation work that you do to get the application in a certain state, many things can go wrong. And with the intercept command, you don't need to do that anymore. You can just pre-fill your API request, or you can just intercept your API request in a way that it presents the data in a way that you want to test your app with. And in this case, in this test, I have preset already 10 to-dos that I want to set into my application. And what I then do is I intercept the API call and set in the actually payload that I want to use to do assertions on it. For instance, to say, hey, is my application able to render these 10 to-dos? And we can run that. This is a pre-populate one. So what's happened before we actually open the page, we tell Chrome, hey, every time you query this URL, you query this API endpoint, please don't actually go to the API. Please use that response that I give you here. And so with that, you will be able to mock request in your test. If we go on the source labs job, make this window a little bit bigger. We open the session, we call the execute command and pre-populate our API response. Then we go to the URL, and you see already before we had to do anything, we have already 10 to-dos in there. Another thing that I want to show is you remember the third-party script in our app that took 5 seconds and slowed down our test. Instead of saying, hey, use this response, we can also just say, hey, can you just block that and don't use it? And I did that here with that third-party script. So I open the URL, then I say, at that point, it will still load the third-party script. But then I say, hey, let this script fail. I don't need that for my functional test. Then I reopen it, and what I did with the rest of the test is just getting the metrics of the browser, how fast the browser was able to load. And I want to test that I want to be within 5 seconds. I'm using here the log command that Yaroslav will show you guys in a second to get the page load metrics of the application. But more importantly, I use another log command, the network command, to show how fast each individual request took to load. So we run the test on Sauce Labs. And there you go, you already see it. The third-party script failed, and it took 0 milliseconds to load. And if we now go on the Sauce Labs job, you will see something that we will release within the next week, which is the network tab, which is really useful to see how long network request took to load. So when we first opened the page, we have this 5-second long third-party script that slowed down our test. You see that after the first 5 seconds, our app was able to load the next request. In our second attempt to load the page, that third-party script failed to load, and our application was able to load way faster, and our end-to-end test overall was way faster, which is a great thing. OK. Let's move on.
Thank you, Christian. So again, additional command, additional one step closer to complete coverage between what's supported in WebDriver and what is supported in Chrome DevTools. Now, onto the exciting part. As part of this, we're also launching several new custom log types. While the commands are interesting, we believe custom log types are even more interesting, because what it allows you to do, it allows you not only expand on types of kind of testing you can do, but also cover a lot more. So with Sauce Network, you can start getting all the requests and responses that were made on the page up until that point in a test without any kind of third-party tools. So that includes headers, that includes response codes, that includes every single thing that was loaded on the page while the test was running. Sauce Metrics returns application performance metrics. Again, something that was never done before. It includes things that are not currently part of kind of general REST APIs. And you can get things like time to first meaningful paint, time to the kind of content loaded, and overall a lot of application-specific metrics that are hidden in Chrome today and are exposed via console log. So again, bridging the gap as close as possible. And last thing is Sauce timings. This data is technically available today via the .performance.timing kind of command, but you can it's still useful to get it in the same format as the rest of the commands. So again, helping you expand on testing coverage and just overall simplify the debugging of your tests. So the way you call these log types is not via JS execute, but actually via a custom log type. We just call driver.log Sauce Network, and we will output just a JSON of information back at you. So you can do many things with this. You can parse it, you can assert it, you can save it, you can kind of work with this as any way you would with any JSON object, right? And as I mentioned, every command contains a wide range of data. On our wiki, hopefully we'll quickly take a look at this at the end, we have all the examples with all the sample metadata and kind of what the responses should be outlined already. And when you have access to all this information, you can really start doing assertions on network timings and the application performance stats during your test as part of your functional tests. You can say things, have these pages loaded in less than 5 seconds. Some companies really want to make sure that application performance stats are covered as part of the general end-to-end testing. Additionally, you can do something that, again, never been done before. You can start checking if specific requests have been made and assert against the body. What that means, let's say, you are an ad business. You have an ad business on the side. And when you click on an advertisement on the page, you want to make sure that specific event gets triggered and sent to your analytics servers, right? To you, that data is very important because that is how your business generates money and kind of accounting for the revenue generated. And to you, kind of, it would mean kind of that event is just as meaningful as the page or the sign-up flow to you, kind of. But there is no way today to verify that presence. Now, calling Sauce Network, you can start getting kind of you can search through the responses and make sure that all the analytics, all of the information is actually present as part of your functional tests, and there is no kind of chance or opportunities for your development team to take out things that are very crucial to your business, right? Again, we're going to do one more demo. Christian, take it away.
Right. So before we do that demo, I need to make sure that our application is in a pristine state. I see you guys have put some to-dos in there. So may I ask if I just get the to-do application for a second without anyone putting in any to-dos? That would be awesome. OK, so the last application, as Jaroslav mentioned, let's check on the code. It's the analytics one, because that's really crucial for a lot of companies. Being able to check if a certain request has been made to an analytics server or any kind of endpoint outside of the browser. And so what we do here, we just enter a normal to-do. And as I mentioned when I showed you the demo application, we send an analytics request to Google. And this test makes sure that it uses the source network log, which is my favorite command ever. It finds all the requests that has been made by the browser and checks if one of the commands is the Google Analytics one, which has these parameters in the URL. And then we take it a step further and be like, all right, we use now on our intercept command that we showed you, and let one of the to-do endpoints fail. So adding a to-do failed, and we have a separate analytics event for that as well. And we want to check if that was triggered too. So really crucial test here. And with the new commands, you will be able to do them on Sauce Labs. So let me see if I can find the analytics one. So again, please don't fill any to-dos in. That would be great. All right, we're on the test on Sauce Labs. It opens the app. Let's hope the demo gods are with us. Yes, that looks good. There we go. So again, we look into the source on the source details, job details page and see what's going on here. So we added a to-do, and we can, again, use the network tab to show, hey, this collect method, where is it? That one. We posted a to-do to our API, and then we made the Google request. And with the log source :network command, we have access to all this information. In our second example, there's only one, apparently. Or no, there's on the bottom. Where do I scroll here? There. In our second example, the post to the API failed. And as our test reported, the parameters that the post failed has been sent to Google Analytics, and we are sure that our app works as expected. All right.
Thanks, Christian. And again, now with these 5 commands, hopefully we've brought kind of the difference between Chrome DevTools and Chrome driver to kind of non-existence. And overall, we're really, really excited as to what kind of our developers and customers will be able to do with these features. Obviously, this is just part of the demo, but it opens a wide variety of opportunities for any development team to expand on testing cases, expand on types of coverage they can do, and just overall potentially features that can be exposed in the future. So the new commands are in public beta today. You simply have to run a test with extended debugging enabled and follow the guides on our wiki. Additionally, all of the examples that Christian has shown today are on our GitHub repository. It's in the public repo. You can definitely clone that, copy that, use it however you want.
GitHub.com/sourcelabs/extended_debugging_demo. Yeah. Something like that. You guys are all smart. You guys find it.
And it's also linked in the wiki as well. So once you come across the documentation, you'll be able to find it as well. So what's next for us? We really want to support additional browsers, specifically Firefox and possibly Edge, and really expand the test these commands to these kind of tools as well. Additionally, we want to see, can we make this work in terms of real devices? Obviously, we have a real device business, and we really make sure that we have a complete coverage, not just from the desktop, but also on the mobile side. And lastly, more commands. At this point, we really look forward to hearing from our customers as to what they would like to see implemented on our side. And really we're open to feedback and really want to hear more and about the use cases of how your teams will be able to use them. If you would like to reach us, you can do it via email, Yaroslav@saucelabs or Christian@saucelabs.com. Again, we're very responsive. Christian also maintains a very active Twitter account. It's what, at Broman.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Broman.
Yeah. But at this point, we're open for questions. I believe we have 4 minutes left.
4 minutes.
Right, no, go ahead. Questions?
Just a quick question. So since this is a beta version, this only happens on the automated side. If I wanted to go to your dashboard, manually do a testing, like play around with throttle, it's not there.
I can take it. Right now, we don't have support for this, but the underlying technology is the same. Manual tests work similar like an automated test, but you just don't send commands. You use your mouse to control the browser. So support will be there, and I think we can add support for this as well. Yeah.
And when do we start seeing this again? Is it next week? Did you say?
Seeing what again?
Like seeing like we can tweak around with the throttle, you know, whatever it is that you showed us right now.
It's all available today.
Oh, it's all available.
Yes.
So if I log into the dashboard,
You have
now,
all the information you need to get started on this. There is just make sure that you've do the flag, so you do extended debugging enabled in your desired capabilities, and all these commands will be enabled.
I mean, for manual testing.
Not for manual. Sorry, manual. That's only for automated.
Okay, so
Yeah.
manual is kind of still.
Manual is separate. Yeah.
Thanks.
Another question, I could have sworn, oh, wow.
What's the persistence of these commands? It looks like definitely beyond page load, but is it based on PM, or when does the throttling stop? If, for instance.
So I didn't get that. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, so if you set the throttling to like offline or 3, do you have to reset it every time, or?
Oh, yeah. No, that's up to you. Yeah, if you set it offline, we don't have an automatic trigger that gets you online again. What you do then is you just call the throttle command again and set the condition to Wi-Fi, which is the fastest condition you can have.
Questions right here.
Hi, my question is, we use WebDriver IO to write our tests. So what is the expected behavior when we use these source log commands and we run the test on local mode?
These custom commands only work on Sauce Labs. We cannot provide these for your local grid. The way how I think about this is like we want to create custom commands on top of WebDriver and then go to the WebDriver to the people that do the WebDriver specification and be like, hey, our customers use these commands, and maybe this could something that can land in the WebDriver specification after all, and then maybe they will add it to the specification and it gets implemented in the driver so you can run it locally. For now, will be only available on Sauce Labs.
So what is your recommendation on how we handle it for now? Do we check which mode the test is being run in and then escape if it's being run on the local mode?
I mean, you can always check whether or not you run your test right now on Sauce Labs or not. And you can specify your test suite for tests that only run on Sauce Labs or tests that only run locally, right?
Do you want to do one more?
If you're running on Sauce, so if you have a suite with multiple browsers, will it skip Firefox if you try to send that command? Any Sauce command like that?
For Firefox, it will currently fail until we have support for it. So if you want to use these commands, make sure that you run them on Chrome only. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like the DevTools service for WebDriver IO, it's pretty similar. I mean,
Right.
it's all built around the CDP protocols?
Yes.
It's the same thing pretty
Yeah,
much,
it's
right?
same thing, and the idea behind the DevTools service in WebDriver was basically that, to gain access to the browser natively.
I think it's really awesome. Thank you for inventing it.
Thanks.
It's going to be very useful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, so if it's okay with you guys, maybe take some questions outside. I just have a couple of announcements. One is that there's a craft beer break right now that's not to be missed for the next hour or so. Don't go too over the top, though. Lou Bosch is going to be presenting the roadmap at 4 o'clock. And then I have one other announcement. I've just been slacked this. If you're up for it, there's the Expo Trivia, and you can submit your answers, but there's going to be 11 prizes given away at 4 o'clock. 11 prizes.
Awesome.
Good chance to get one. All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.